Hey, welcome to the No Name Yet podcast. That is the podcast with no name. And on tonight's show is the other guy on the show, the man who has dreams of spending time in an Italian prison, Mark.
What's up? You know, if I was in an Italian prison, the type of man I would come out to be, ruthless. It's just ruthless. Might be the first made man.
That's right.
First black made man in Italy. They're like, hey, this guy really got some balls.
Yep. In 40 years, they'll be making a movie, The Don of Utica.
The Don of Utica. Come back from Italy, I run Utica down for the Italian mob. I come in, I blow the first man in the head off. I go, hey, there's a new sheriff in town.
So, how do you like my hat?
I love your hat. What does it say for the rest of the people that can't see it?
It says Jill Stein 2024.
Great hat.
People, planet, peace.
PPP.
PPP. So my hat.
That doesn't sound like a sexual transmitted disease.
No, my hat is union made.
Union made.
Yeah.
Look at you.
And we're waiting. The Stein campaign has handed in all of its signatures, and now we are awaiting the results to see if she's on the New York State ballot or not.
Okay.
And in other news of people fighting the empire by striving for ballot access, we have good news from the Jose Vega campaign down in the city. This email reads, last Thursday, I handed in well over 11,000 signatures to the Board of Elections to put my name on the ballot. We trounced their heinous requirement, and we will be on the ballot. So he is going to be running against Richie Torres down in the Bronx. And he is an independent candidate. And if you're not quite sure if you've ever encountered him, if you've seen video of a young man standing up in different Congress people's town halls and denouncing their war policies, there's a good chance it was Jose Vega, because he certainly made the rounds. And right there's this picture right there, and there's a better picture of him with Jimmy Dore, and that is Jose Vega.
Okay.
So we have some independent, some third-party candidates that are working hard, even though the establishment makes it more and more difficult for independent and third-party candidates to get on the ballot. People are coming together, people are donating, people are getting signatures, and so Jose Vega was successful, and we applaud his campaign. Amen.
Okay. And for those who probably what do you would say to those who probably are Democratic, Republican, leaning both ways, whatever? Is it too late for them to change sides?
The way I understand the election law is say that you're registered Democrat right now and you want to change to the Republican Party, that you would resubmit a voter registration form, and that your political affiliation will change after the general election.
So it won't change for this coming one. So right now, I believe I'm under Democrat. If I change, go in because I moved into a new location, right?
Hmm.
So if I change right now, I won't be changed until the next one.
Right. Eh,
Okay. Okay. So that's a little annoying. So do I so should a person still vote even if they're like they're
Yeah,
elected
you can
person right
still
now?
vote. You just can't. I mean, you're entitled to vote in the Democratic primary.
Yes.
They already had the Democratic presidential primary in New
Yes.
York.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the primaries for other offices are coming up. So, if you get yourself registered,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure when the deadlines are, but there's a possibility if you registered, say today, you might be able to vote in the primary in Ilion if there was a, you know, some kind of primary race going
Yes.
on in your
Local
district.
area.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So, guys, if you are listening and you had these questions, and I'm sure it is very, hard for a lot of people. Yeah, working. Of course, there's a bunch of hardworking Americans and people that's doing their best right now. So I'm sure you are listening and thinking, man, I would want to change and everything else like that. But right now, I think it's the best option for all of us is to do our research and stay upon them because the empire right now, they think they have us in the bag. And I think that especially by the next election, we need to make it clear to them that this one loss this loss for us does not mean the war is over and that we have to keep this war going on. They're obviously not on our side anymore, and I'm so happy to see so many fellow Americans in different shades and colors and sizes all agree that we don't like this game anymore.
No. No, and it does instill a sense of powerlessness in you. I mean, for so many years, I was like, you have to vote, you have to vote, and in the last few years, it's like, God, I mean, it just doesn't make any difference what you do. But I'm back to swinging to encourage people to vote anyhow.
Yes.
Um, because I know that, I mean, federally, it really doesn't matter how I vote. I mean, I live in a democratic dictatorship. As long as Gillibrand and Schumer and Tonko are running, they're going to win. And I know this last round of drawing congressional districts in the state of New York, there was a lot of gerrymandering, which means they cut things up so certain parties win. And I think that they had to redraw some districts. The
Yeah.
court made them redraw districts, and but I know that I'm me being a former Democrat, um, and loathing the Democratic Party with every fiber of my being. Um,
And as a Democrat right now, it is, and I had the same feeling you felt, right? That I'm like, what is the point? I don't want this man here. I don't want any of these guys here. And my advice to anybody listening, my fellow Americans, is let's really start paying attention to the dollar. Where are their sponsors? What lobbyists are who's lobbying behind
Yeah,
them?
you can go
So
on there. You can go on your congressperson's
yes.
website and see where their donations are coming
Where are their
from.
donations coming from? We need to start really, that's what we really need to do, guys. When it comes to people, especially our politicians, we need to look at their donations. And if we see Spectrum and Verizon and we see, Walmart and Amazon, this and that, all these businesses that do nothing for us, and they're the ones that's going to get the policy change for themselves, right? When you see those
Right.
donators, you have to say, oh, you got 10 donors. You know what that means? That means you're going to make policies for those 10 donors. You don't care about us because those donors gave you millions, right? So we need to start seeing that. We need to
Mm-hmm.
start looking at that as a people. We need to look at, be way like, keep them, scrutinize the hell out of these people. We're the best trolls in the world, Americans. Okay, we're trolls. Let's be real about it, fellow Americans. We're trolls, and we like with the system. So let's start really messing with people's pockets. Let's really show them Every dollar you take from somebody else, we're going to look at that and we're going to put you to the side, and we're going to start picking candidates that are for us, picked by us, even if that guy looks completely different from us, that woman looks completely different from, if their policies make it better for us guys, we need to start making sure that's what we get, because all these billion-dollar companies, million-dollar companies, they are doing perfectly fine. And guess what, guys? If you are somebody that's watching this right now and color and race and gender matters to you, I plead with you right now to really understand that that doesn't matter, because everybody that's all these CEOs in the corporate world, they're all mixed. They're gay, they're lesbians, they're black, they're white, and these are all the people sitting up there saying, I don't give a about you. They don't care. They're living well. They got their Tesla cars.
Right. Yeah. And that, yeah. What I was going to say was that the Democratic Party. I mean, if the Democratic Party is uh, a party that you don't want to be involved with, or even if that you want to aggravate, I recommend that you go to the polls and vote third party. Because there's nothing that sends the Democratic Party into spiral is that, people voting for third parties. And they have their other rhetoric that it's a wasted vote and it's a vote for Trump and this and that. And as we were talking today about the Trump verdict and the state of the country and why Trump has so much support, that what I, from the beginning, when Trump first started running back in 2016, that the state of the country has become so bad that that we know that both Democrats and Republicans are manufacturing overseas, that this country, our government responds does not respond to the will of the citizenry, is only concerned about its donors, and that people are suffering. And the Democratic Party used to be the party of the people, and they're not anymore at all, and that they have become so repugnant to so many people in this country that they are willing to vote for an offensive reality TV show host.
I mean, at this point, I mean, I think I need to change what I'm sexually attracted to, apparently, because the Democrat has just been, they just threw on a strap on him and say bend down, and they just been me ever since. I mean, I didn't know. Like, I'm in support of gay rights and every other right and group of people, but I never permitted anybody to strap themselves up on me and hit it from the back. I never gave them that permission. So for them to just change my label right behind me, it's too much. If you're into me like that, you need to ask permission. You can't just take what you want from me. So I'm good.
Well,
I'll be supported from the behind a wall.
All right, I have Mr. Trump, and so all right, why can't we hear him?
These are bad people. These are, in many cases, I believe, sick people. When you look at our country, what's happening, where millions and millions of people are flowing in from all parts of the world, not just South America, from Africa, from Asia, from the Middle East, and they're coming in from jails and prisons, and they're coming in from mental institutions and insane asylums. They're coming in from all over the world into our country. And we have a president and a group of fascists that don't want to do anything about it, because they could right now, today, he could stop it. But he's not. They're destroying our country. Our country is in very bad shape, and they're very much against me saying these things. They want to raise your taxes by 4 times. They want to stop you from having cars with their ridiculous mandates that make it impossible for you to get a car or afford a car. But make it very possible for China to build all of our cars. It's a very serious problem that we have. We just went through one of many experiences where we had a conflicted judge, highly conflicted. There's never been a more conflicted judge. Now, I'm under a gag order, which nobody's ever been under. No presidential candidate's ever been under a gag order before. I'm under a gag order, nasty gag order, where I've had to pay thousands of dollars in penalties and fines and was threatened with jail. Think of it. I'm the leading candidate. I'm leading Biden by a lot, and I'm leading the Republicans to the point where that's over. So I'm the leading person for president, and I'm under a gag order by a man that can't put two sentences together, given by a court, and they are in total conjunction with the White House and the DOJ, just so you understand. This is all done by Biden and his people. Maybe his people more importantly. I don't know if Biden knows too much about it, because I don't know if he knows about anything. But he's nevertheless the president, so we have to use his name. And this is done by...
So what are we thinking so far?
Oh, and I think that's a great part. I love his disdain for Joe so much. I mean, it is, he literally sounds like every American every day. Like, this is like, even the gag order, he's like, oh, it sounds so nasty coming out from his mouth. Like, oh, they're gagging me.
I mean, this is like one of the points I think we were kind of debating earlier today with Gritty. Like, I mean, he is a pro. But it's like I'm under a gag order, a nasty gag order.
He should say
I mean,
pause.
how is it? How is I mean, this gag order is not any different than any other gag order that somebody would be. Is it particularly nasty? I mean, did they staple it to your back? I mean, why is it particularly?
I think Diddy was in the room, and
nasty?
they was like, they were like, we'll gag you with Diddy if you keep playing with us.
Oh shoot!
He's like, I don't want no Diddy. It's hilarious how like he is like his disdain. He as he talks, and he's like it's just like, who is this guy? It's almost like Joe Biden just came from another planet, and we just picked this alien as our president. He's like, this man is not even human. Like, get him out.
I don't know.
I mean, he's calling him an idiot on national TV. It's the best. It's white man does amazing thing this week. Like this. Somebody help me figure out a good name for this segment.
Yeah, well, because we were on FaceTime, and that I was arguing with my father about this, and that my real concern is that our republic is unraveling, and that banana republics use the judicial system to jail their political enemies. And I know that the arguments come, well, then, I mean, if he was innocent, then the jury wouldn't have convicted him. And, if there is information out there, you could listen to Glenn Greenwald to talk about the way that judges can influence a trial.
I mean, they gave him the Negro trial. They were like, silence.
And my dad's argument was, well, Trump broke the law, so he needed to be convicted. Though, I mean, the way that the legal arguments that they made are referred to as novel legal arguments. They pursued convictions of offenses that would normally be misdemeanors, and now they're felonies.
Yeah.
With this novel, this brand new way of approaching these legal arguments.
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard that expression so often when it refers to litigation against Trump. And I got to thinking, especially about this issue about using the judiciary to go after your political opponents. And then my dad saying, well, he broke the law.
So did every president in American history.
Well, I mean, the dictator that we installed in Chile, Pinochet,
Mhm.
was a brutal dictator,
No,
guilty of
Yahoo.
crimes against humanity, and wasn't they didn't start prosecuting him until years after he was out of office.
Yeah.
To the point where he was too senile to stand trial. But did it have to be done now?
Yeah.
Because we're in this democratic republic. There is a there may be a simple majority, if not a greater than a simple majority of people who want him to stand for election.
Yeah. Yeah. We want a fair election. We want a fair trial. Because the funny thing about Americans, and we know our presidents do crime. We know a lot of the things happening is crime. Because then when you do this stuff to Donald Trump, then we have to be like, okay, when Biden gets out of office, um, are we hitting him with everything he's decided when and Yahoo? Because we said as the American people, we don't want war. We don't want billions of dollars being sent to Israel. We've said we didn't want billions of dollars being sent to Ukraine. We screamed it. All of us have, right?
Yeah, they're not listening
This
to
is
anybody.
this is a universal American thing. We are all public. Every American is saying we want no parts of this. Are we going to finally hit Biden with these charges when he leaves? On the right that we as the American people, you put us in a potential war or even worse situation before we were even in this.
Well, I hope that several U.S. officials are, named in warrants for war crimes.
I mean, because then we have to get Bush, we got to get Obama. Like, these
well,
are
they've already there already are warrants for Bush.
Yeah.
So we have to, again, understand what does winning mean in these cases. I don't think that George W. Bush is ever going to stand trial for war crimes.
No.
But the thing about it is the former president of the United States cannot travel freely in the world.
Oh, continue talking.
Okay, so what I said was that George W. Bush is probably not going to ever stand trial, but because those warrants are out there, he cannot travel the world freely. Because if he goes into certain countries, he stands to be arrested on those war crime warrants.
Yeah.
And so I think that Anthony Blinken, a lot of the senators, just a lot of people, really, I hope that they're named in warrants, and they can live out the rest of their life with, they were once powerful people that could waltz around the world, and now that there's places that they won't be able to go.
The worst part about this is that this is now a new tactic that we will see for the rest of our lives people using in the presidential. This will continue happening.
In regards to the presidency.
Yes, like this whole blame and try to bring it in court. I guarantee you, the next guy who is beef with the next guy, they're going to be trying to pull up as much dirt as possible, spending taxpayer dollars just to bring up these cases, investigations on whoever and ever. It's going to happen every year for the rest of our lives now. It is now a new tactic that we are now allowing. And it's a shameful tactic. Do I think Trump deserves this? No. But here's the thing about Trump is that a lot of his personal actions around his life has led him to this point, right? Where he didn't allow when those 5 young black men were unjustly, committed for a crime that they didn't do. He didn't
the Central
help.
Park 5.
Yes, Central Park 5. So he didn't help. He actually went in public and made it worse.
Yeah, he wanted them to be put to death.
To death, right? Yeah. So this is where all I see is history and why it's so important to be careful on how we interact and why we do things. Because you know, that same justice system that you was trying to get execute five black people just because you heard something is now the same justice system that's giving you what? The same thing. So it's just funny how karma just the universe always circles around. It balances itself out.
Well, I'm not concerned about Trump personally. I'm concerned about our republic, which is becoming more and more authoritarian and more fascist. And the definition, from the standpoint that fascism is the collusion of corporate and state power.
Yes.
You know, ruling, the oligarchy is running the show. I mean, we all know that.
Yes.
As I said before, I live in a democratic dictatorship. It doesn't matter how I vote federally. The electoral college votes are going to the president, and Schumer, Gillibrand, and Tonko are going to be elected if they running.
Yeah. It's a sad state to be in.
But it's demoralizing.
It is,
and especially to be watching so many people dying overseas.
Yeah,
and that nothing that you say, whether you write an intelligent letter to your representatives, or whether you speak intelligently on the phone, or whether you are snarky on the phone, or write a snarky letter to your representatives, it doesn't make any difference either way. They're not listening at all.
The one thing that has been working the last 2 years is that the next generation, this younger generation, Gen Z and millennials and a few other people, they have been talking with their money, not purchasing certain items, right? Going to certain restaurants. That has been working. We have seen it work with Starbucks. We see it working with Chipotle. We've seen it working with Bud Light.
Why are people boycotting Chipotle?
Because of portion sizes. A lot of these capitalists, when they become public, they prioritize money over everything. So the food quality decreases, typical. But they had a policy where, they were telling their workers to give people small portions. And it got, last month or so, it got over to the point where people just started recording it and showing like, look what they're giving us, and then have the nerve to charge us when we ask for more. So this had upset so many Americans that it basically effed up all of Chipotle's numbers.
Yeah.
So much so that they lost money. Their locations were in danger, are still in danger. We see it with Starbucks. So this is happening. So we now see it working. We now know it works. We have the evidence that it works. So we got to really.
Well, let me jump in there. And I mean, there were, oh my God, there are people, like the last decade, the Democrats, just saying, shaking their head saying, boycotts just don't work. I mean, if anything, if there was ever a statement to show how many people have just sold themselves out to the establishment, was to state that was to be a broke podcaster in hopes of being so much bigger than they wanted to be, and stand there and broadcast that boycotts didn't work. And look, I when I was going to college in the 80s, and that apartheid in South Africa was a huge issue, and that people were asked to participate in boycotts. And I have to tell you that drinking Coca-Cola was not something that I just enjoyed, but my grandmother loved Coca-Cola. It was something that we shared together. It was a family thing. I had bought Coca-Cola clothes in the 80s when they were coming out. And then they said, we want everybody to stop drinking Coca-Cola. And I was like, damn, I don't want to stop drinking Coca-Cola. But as a 18 or 19-year-old person, I did not drink Coca-Cola for years. And that the results weren't immediate. That's what I could do as a regular citizen, is not drink Coca-Cola. And I didn't. And all those boycotts came together to help force South Africa to deal with and to abolish apartheid. So don't let anyone ever tell you that boycotts don't work.
Let me say, I got to see boycott at its mass production and ability in the last year, especially with Starbucks and AAA and a few other companies. And let me tell you, especially with a website like TikTok and streaming and being able to click as fast as we are able to, with half of America supporting something, it is phenomenal. The amount of damage we can do within a week, amazing. It's so damn good. I don't know why we're not doing one for every week. Like, like at this point, we should just every week pick a company. Well, you're not doing what we want you to do. Pick a company. Let's just start picking companies.
It's important. It's important to articulate why that this is happening.
Yes.
You know, I mean, it's important that the company knows why people are boycotting them.
Yeah,
because you want a result.
You want a result. But we're seeing it really work. I mean, Starbucks lost so many locations in the Middle East, Europe locations, and follow up in Canada and America. So it is working. It is working. And
Starbucks is just a problematic company. I mean, it's just one issue after the next with Starbucks. Yes. You know, they're supposed to be like this woke company. I mean, it's such a farce.
Oh, the problem is that they and that's the problem. You know, if you haven't checked it out, I need people to go watch the new Cat Williams special on Netflix. He says a joke there where he says, "I'm sick and tired of people changing words." Right? People change the word from woke. They say the woke doesn't mean sleepy. What we're experiencing right now is sleepiness, not wokeness, right? Wokeness is a Black cultural word that means we are awakened. That means that we, as the people, do not have hate. We do not seek hatred. We seek unity. We seek spiritual enlightenment, closer to God. We seek peace amongst brothers and sisters, regardless. Like, it's about spiritually building yourself, mentally, physical, and being better for people. It has nothing to do with money.
Yeah.
But this is what happens when Democrats and people take and co-opt cultural movements and make them political moments. The people who are listening to right now, you think at it as a political movement. It's not. That's how bad. That's how good our government has gotten.
Well, you know that saying that the Democratic Party is where social justice movements go to die.
Yes, and I was just about to say that. So thank you for saying. It is, and it's like at this point, I'm like, I don't know why people even share anything with the Democrats. We should let all the people, like, when we start a movement, regardless of what group you're in, we should not tell them. Oh yeah, we don't know what you're talking about. We have no idea what you're talking about. Yeah, come up with your own slogan.
Yeah. So what do we want to do? We want to hear more Trump, or
I think there's let's listen to another Trump, and after that I have some fun news about the MLB. I think it was pretty cool, and I think we can look it up. I think it was great.
Okay, all right, hold on a second.
Washington, and nobody's ever seen anything like it. So we have a judge who's highly conflicted. You know what the confliction is. Nobody wants to write about it, and I'm not allowed to talk about it. If I do, he said, I get put in jail. So we'll play that game a little bit longer. We won't talk about it, but you're allowed to talk about it. I hope you do, because there's never been anybody so conflicted as this. As far as the trial itself, it was very unfair. We weren't allowed to use our election expert under any circumstances. You saw what happened to some of the witnesses that were on our side. They were literally crucified by this man who looks like an angel, but he's really a devil. He looks so nice and soft. People say, oh, he seems like such a nice man. No, unless you saw him in action. And you saw that with a certain witness that went through hell. And when we wanted to do things, he wouldn't let him.
What happened?
Oh, it's just pause.
It's a rigged. It
Oh.
was a rigged trial. We wanted a venue change where we could have a fair trial. We didn't get it. We wanted a judge change. We wanted.
I wonder if he said something that would have got him in trouble, and they were on the ready to mute him.
Mute him.
Yeah, I bet. Well, it's a possibility.
A judge that wasn't conflicted, and obviously he didn't do that. There's nobody's ever seen anything like it. We had a DA who was a failed DA. Crime is rampant in New York, violent crime. That's what he's really supposed to be looking at. Crime is rampant in New York. Yesterday in McDonald's, you had a man hitting him up with machetes, a machete. Whoever can imagine even a machete being wielded in a store, in a place where they're eating, and he's going rampant. And Bragg is down watching a trial.
You already know. You're from New York City. You already know that this happens all the time. He needs that. I don't. Sometimes he talks though, and I'll be like, "Do you forget you're from New York City? Like, what do you mean? You're the same guy that used to go in your apartment buildings with a guy just in case to knock on residents' doors." Just in case, because they used to shoot at people through the doors because they didn't want to pay rent. He used to have a guard with him all the time. What do you mean? This is New York City, baby. You had to walk around with a guard all the time just to get rent.
So when we listened to him this morning, this whole that whole vamp that he did with the judge being soft, but he looks like an angel, but is a devil. He's looks soft, but he's really hard. He's just soft. I thought that was his talent to knock people down a couple pegs.
I know. That was the most New York thing he ever said when he was like, he's soft. He looks soft. Basically, he was like, you look like a bitch. Like, it was such a New York thing. Like, all I heard was a city and him go, you look like a bitch. And I'm like, you didn't want to say that, but you wanted to say that. That's really what his tone was saying.
Mm-hmm. So, I know there's a part at the end that but I wouldn't know where to locate it. But he's really in a heap load of trouble, and just the way he comes out and just rambles. I I don't think that he's addressed the gravity of what has happened. But
No.
I guess he can't because of the gag order. But
what was interesting to me was that there wasn't a written speech. That felt so off the top of the dome. I was like, wait, bro, you didn't even hire anybody to just write your speeches for you? I mean, like his regular speech pattern is not good enough. And he's not intellectual when he starts speaking. So and it shows. And he needs somebody there to write that stuff down and write his thoughts down in a better format than him waving his hands like this to us the whole time. I'm like, he's from New York, but he does only this hand movement. We're supposed to be like this and everything else like that. Mm-hmm. He didn't learn much from us, apparently. He must have not really lived here.
Well, I mean, look at Trump Tower. I mean, he's how many stories above the city at any given time.
No, it's true. He's a New Yorker that lives in the clouds, so this is all he can do.
Yeah, and
this is it.
And relieves himself on a toilet made of literally of gold.
Yeah, he doesn't live in the same reality as us anymore. Well,
that was funny too when he said that one of the witnesses was literally crucified. Really?
Literally crucified?
They took that witness and nailed them to the cross.
I think so. I think they tied him to the podium the judge was at, and the judge was like, paddled on his head, was like, execute him now.
Yeah.
This is ridiculous. What part you was referring to that you was looking for?
I can't remember. A bunch of idiots? It was something that made me laugh.
I know the one big part that's not where you were at is later on is when he starts calling them a bunch of idiots.
Okay.
Oh, this person is just this. He just all of them says Joe Biden is an idiot. He's a moron. I'm like, damn.
So, like, I mean, people are like, why do you pay attention to? I always have paid attention to politics, and I never, in my wildest dreams, 30 years ago, thought that things would be like they are now. I mean, who do we have to look forward to who's not going to embroil us in a war with China and continue the war in Ukraine and continue to arm Israel? I mean, it's just, I guess that's who we are as America, is we're warlords, and that I guess we just need to fall in line and to support this, imperial march across the globe until, we crossed the wrong line, and that we, it will all be worth the American imperialism to be incinerated with nuclear missiles.
I mean, that is a good question, right? Like
I mean, that's what it feels like.
it does feel like
Maybe
that.
I should just shut up and get in line and, pat Anthony Blinken on the back on Twitter X and say, good job, go over to Israel and give them whatever they want.
Yeah,
And,
no, it does feel like
and
that.
gaslight us that women and children aren't being killed. And
Yeah. It's not like you just dropped a bomb where like this week and what 40 something people just died and you even admitted that those were innocent people. Like how many times were you gonna keep doing this until it got so bad that until like the numbers of people that you really hit were innocent and we're now really asking you now. It's happening too much.
right.
Every
And
week.
what are we going to do with in Ukraine? I mean, our the European countries going to put boots on the ground? Are we going to put boots on the ground? Joe Biden is deciding what towns that Ukraine can bomb inside the border of Russia. We're just going to keep marching on and antagonize the Putin administration until what? Until we cross one of those red lines and the missiles fly, and then we have China, and it's just all smoldering right now, and none of our leaders care that a lot of people on the street just is not for all this war.
We're not. And that's a good question. Do we just fully back them up at this point? Like, surely, because either way, this is only gonna go two ways, right? You're going to continue doing this. We're gonna hate you for it, right? And then we, the people,
and that's a fact. As I won't say hate, but I have contempt for our leaders.
Pasty, everybody that's a politician who's making millions off these lobbyings and sending weapons through secret shore accounts and stuff like that and funding this stuff, I hate them. I hate them for the simple fact that you are making me accessory to crimes I do not want to be a part of.
Oh, that's a good point.
I have no interest. As a Black American, I have no interest. My people have 400 years of this BS. There's other groups in this country. Yes, and I understand Black people are not the only ones that's been enslaved. Every group of culture has been enslaved. But I am not going to sit here and know that I have been a part of it and then go off and then say, you know what, and be okay with knowing damn well that there are people in my government that's like, I mean, we're not doing it. We're not doing it in our land anymore. We're not that type of people. Because when I see these immigrants and all these criminals coming over from these countries, and somebody was saying, oh yeah, the crime rate decrease in all these countries. Why? Because they're all moving to America. I'm like, yeah, I understand exactly what the prison industry is doing. They're going to use those criminals. They're going to arrest all those people and start using them as slave laborers in our prison because that makes the most sense. That makes sense to do so.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that.
We can't arrest the Blacks anymore. People are getting mad at us for that. I mean, we're not going to make internment camps. We're not going to do this.
We never stop being a slaver nation.
We're never going to stop being a slaver nation, right? Like, so I know for a fact.
I didn't think of that at all.
I know for a fact that the real reason why all these people are in this country is because we need new slaves. And what better not is to take a bunch of people that don't speak our language, that is going to do crime because they have no idea how we operate, and arrest them. Take their kids, take their wives, take their husbands, arrest them, spread them all over the country. We got plenty of private prisons. We can put you in and let you disappear for 20 years.
So let me ask you this. This is where, you try to live righteously, and you do what you can. So, like, I've got this 401k. All right. So if I wanted my 401k, which is probably invested in private prisons,
of course it is,
I would have to go through individually what they're investing in, and then create a, I think it's called prospectus, or create this menu of stocks that are going to be invested in, and take the ones off that I don't want.
We can do that?
You can. Yeah.
I didn't know we can do that.
Yeah.
Education, ladies and gentlemen. I just found out something new today. I didn't know we could do that.
I mean, are you going to do that? I mean,
I would do that
because I thought I would probably screw the whole thing up.
I mean, if you're paying an accountant, I mean, it's not like you have to do that by yourself. I mean, there's professionals for that. But if you actually can do something like that, I say to any American, if you are really concerned about where our tax dollars are going, your tax dollars is going, I think that we all need to research this together and share this information. Well, let's choose where we want to go.
The way that a friend of mine was told, and when I had a conversation touching on this, and I got a similar response, that basically the company was saying, there's nothing we can do for you, but if you want to tick and untick individual stocks, then knock yourself out. And I mean, if you get that little book with all the things that they invest in, and then they invest in what are those, the different funds, different investment funds, then you have to look into the investment funds to see what those investment funds are.
Yeah, as well as firms and stuff like that. Yeah, because firms do it too, and banks.
I mean, it's really a daunting task.
Which is probably why they know that most Americans are not going to do this, because most of us don't even know this exists, and we probably don't even have the patience for it.
Now, on the other hand, there's a retirement system that I'm a part of now, that resulted from what happened in the AME church, which I think that this retirement system does not invest in certain things. And so I was thinking that, I have an IRA, and I have this other investment account that maybe, I would take the time an afternoon to make some phone calls and to see what moving my money from one investment company to this retirement fund, if that would make that big of a difference.
Interesting. I want to do some really good research. If there's anybody watching that knows the information to that, please hit us up. We would love to talk to you. That is phenomenal. I didn't even know you could possibly do something like that.
Yeah. So what were you going to look up? What were you looking up?
This is a fun thing. Anybody, are you a baseball fan or have been a baseball fan?
Yeah, I wish I could sit myself down and start following it again. Yeah.
So one of the things growing up, like my father, and as I get older, like more, I'm seeing a little bit more positive things about my father. Most of it was negative, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just being real with you. But one of the things my dad used to love is baseball. He was a big sports guy, right? He would give you baseball history, black Negro League players and stuff like that. He was really knowledgeable about stuff like that. He was a great guy when it came to like fun facts, especially on like Black history or little nuggets. And this excited me to see this week. It was I saw it on TikTok 2 days ago. So I just Googled it real quick. So anybody's care to research this more, please do. But the MLB is now accepting Negro League statistics to the record. So this quick Google search says Negro League. Let me see if this, you can hear me?
Yeah.
So it says Negro League statistics now added to the Major League baseball record books, right? So that right there, that's a big deal, right?
Yeah, it is.
Because anybody that's a baseball fan, a real baseball fan, right?
Is also an accountant.
That's true. That is true too. That is true too. They're accountants, but one of the coolest things about it is that they would know that like a lot of the big Negro leagues, and I can't say any players off the top of my head. I'm not like that knowledgeable about baseball, but I do know the importance of it. I do know the history, basic history of it, and how important it was, and how influential the Black community was to the sport itself, and how some of the best players um scores were in the Negro leagues, right?
Mm-hmm.
So to finally get to know that the MLB is making its proper step towards recognizing it in the efforts of for my community and what we put into the sport, I think is a great step. I think that we had lost a lot of influence in the Black community for baseball. I think I always felt like the MLB was stop involving themselves with us, or stop investing in our communities, which saddened me because I think baseball is a great sport. So yeah, Negro League records of over 2,300 players were added to an MLB detailed following a 3-year research project. So that's just really exciting news. There's players that's now being recognized all over the place. So there's going to be players from Philadelphia to Atlanta, all over the country, finally being honored for their actual contribution to the sport, and it's really exciting.
That makes me curious about the Hall of Fame.
I'm only 30 minutes away from the Hall of Fame myself. I've never been there myself, so I'm hoping that this starts. I always wanted to go to. I think it was is Louisiana or Kansas. Wait, where's the Hall of Fame?
Oh no, it's Cooperstown.
Yeah, that one. But there's also a Negro League.
Oh, there's a Negro League one. Okay.
Museum out in what state is that? Louisiana somewhere? Nebraska? Oh, goodness. Well, I'll look that up. But the Hall of Fame is right near me in Pastor, and I've always wanted to go there. But if they're going to add some Negro League players and honor them as well, right there, I think that's a great addition to the Hall of Fame. So I'm excited.
Yeah,
I'm excited, and if they can do this correctly, and I'm gonna come back with more news on this and see if they're gonna what other projects they're gonna do. But if they really want to get back into the Black community and bring us back into this amazing sport, I am excited, and I will be watching this in memory of my father, because he really did love the Yankees and just baseball altogether. So
yeah.
It will get me back right into baseball, because honestly, I watched it all the time as a kid. Went to a few games growing up as a kid. Used to sneak into games. So yeah, it will be a fun. It will be a fun thing to finally be recognized. People to be recognized for all the work we did in the sport.
Thank you.
Bless
Excuse
you.
me. Oh. So we've been going a little while. Let me see what I have queued up here. Maybe we'll end on on something funny, or maybe not.
Oh, it's in Kansas City, Missouri. Okay, Kansas City, Missouri. This is where the Negro League Baseball Museum is at. Something I wanted to go to as a kid with my father, never got the chance to do.
All right, I've got something here. It's not necessarily funny, but it's really, really cool. And so how do you think this episode went, Mo?
How did I think this episode went?
Yeah.
I think it went well.
All right.
I think I've enjoyed myself.
That is
That is really cool. They basically made a Mario Kart.
so for those that can't see this, the tweet says the Chinese, while the West is focused on conflict, division, and peddling fear, the Chinese have been busy building partnerships, strategic alliances with energy powerhouse Russia, trade route, and innovation. Meet Daisy, the Chinese electric car. So this is an electric car that has balls for wheels,
Mm.
and that so it can go forwards and backwards, but you can also go sideways, so you don't have to manage the car to parallel park. It just slides into the parking spot. And so on top of the car, it looks like a car carrier, but it's not a car carrier. When you park the car and turn it off, what is deployed is solar panels that look like a daisy above the car. So while you're
Out and
off
about your car
doing your
charging.
grocery shopping or whatever you're going to do, that the daisy is deployed, and that your battery is being charged by the sun.
That is brilliant technology. Even though right now in China, there's cities where electric cars are just sitting there empty. Um, that's interesting. I mean, the concept is beautiful. I wonder
Yeah.
if that's a good car for Utica, New York, all the cracks having balls instead of wheels, regular wheels.
Yeah, I don't know.
I wonder if that helps cracks driving over cracks better.
I don't know. It would seem to me that it might not be as much of an impact like when you hit potholes,
Hmm.
because it's like a whole ball going over instead of a tire, a
That is
rectangular
true.
tire.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. I mean, we can always just order a car from China, get it imported, export it out.
Who knows how much that car would cost?
I, it's true. It's
I mean,
true. Just to
Some
get,
Teslas are still $100,000.
yeah, yeah. I mean, they're having problems all over the
Yeah,
town though.
I don't think we're going to see Tesla on the road in another 10 years.
Really? You
I
don't
don't
think
think
Tesla's gonna
so.
survive another 10 years?
I don't think so.
Interesting.
I don't know. I mean, who knows how the whole EV effort is going to go?
I mean, a lot of people misunderstand and think that like there is no like mining products for EVs, and that's a big misunderstanding. I mean, you still have to mine for materials and still do all the same things.
Yeah.
I mean, so that's very interesting that you say you don't think Tesla will be around 10 years. Like, I don't disagree with that, but I also think that Elon himself, I think that like what's going to happen with Tesla is that certain models are going to get cheaper and more able to affordable for most people, and won't have all this whistles and bells. But I think that just the self-driving feature, if he remains the top dog in that industry, I mean that itself is going to like keep people going.
Yeah. I mean, I could see like Tesla making parts for other cars.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I don't know that it would go away completely, but you just hear more and more negative things about electric
Yes,
cars.
yes,
And
yes. I mean, overheating,
well,
making sounds.
even if you hit like it's like if you hit a curb the wrong way and you dent the battery,
Yeah,
I mean it costs $20,000 to replace the battery, and
yeah,
so the insurance companies will just total the car.
yeah. The cost efficient, yeah, for everything that's in a Tesla or any of these cars is like, yeah, you're right. No one is trying to pay $20,000 for a fucking battery. Are you
Mhm.
crazy? Then the wheels are super expensive. Uh, I get it.
Yeah. And I think I forgot what company it was that rents cars, but they just dumped all their Teslas.
Did they?
Yeah.
They just dump. They
One of
just
them
got rid of
did,
them.
yeah. Yeah, well I think they're just too expensive to maintain,
Hmm.
and maybe not enough people were interested in renting them. I don't know. Well,
That's
anyway,
interesting.
we end the episode the same way every time with a prayer.
Let's go.
Father God, again, we come before your throne in that I lift up the United States of America. That God, as I know, I feel that the voice of the people is not heard. That God, I know that you hear our prayers. So, God, we put our faith and trust in you. We put our faith and trust in you for our lives and for the future. And that, God, that may all of us be blessed. May all of us look to your son, Jesus Christ, and for guidance, and that we recognize and that we know that Jesus walked as a human being on this planet, and that, Lord, that he knows what we go through, and that he continues to plead our case. So, God, empower us through the Holy Spirit, and that, Lord, allow Jesus to continue to save us. And we pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you for another day.
Amen. Good
Thank you
night.
for another day. God, good night.